Getting back to the street legend videos, today will be one of those, you know. What's up, y'all? So I just want to address things as they come. What's up, everybody? It's your girl B Octavia, and I am back with another video. Welcome to my channel if you are new. Here on my channel, I like to be very versatile. So you might notice that I go back and forth, you know. I go from talking about street legend to talking about current events, because versatility to me is up there with consistency, you know. I feel like if you being consistent, you also have to be versatile in what you talk about. You gotta put your perspective on a lot of different things, just so you don't get put in certain boxes. Now, what I've learned from covering street legends is a lot of times people expect you to just talk about that, and I never want that misconception to continue on my channel. You know, I want y'all to know, yes, I love taking y'all back in time. I love to talk about things that happened before my time, so that I can just tell y'all what I take from it, you know, coming from a whole different generation. I did take a break, because in taking a break is not really a break for me. I'm doing research. I am building my schedule to how I want it to be. And in doing that, you have to do a lot of planning. So don't ever think that the street legend videos and taking y'all back in time will stop. But, you know, it's a lot to talk about within this whole United States. You know, it's a lot to talk about. I don't want to leave nothing out of how I feel about anything, you know, that comes to mind for me. And that's just how I feel creative, you know. That's how I feel like my purpose is being fulfilled if I'm being very diverse in what I talk about. Because a lot of times people wouldn't expect that from me being from DC. They would just expect me to want to talk about drama and talk about this and talk about that. No, I want to talk about a lot of things. And that's where I started this, so it's not going to change. But getting back to the street legend videos, today will be one of those, you know. I'm happy to get back to it, but in getting back to it, I want to pick up where I left off with a certain scenario. In picking up where I left off, I was thinking about the video that I made about Rayful Edmond, and I talked about Lil Nut briefly, but not really briefly. I mean, he is deeply intertwined into Rayful's gang. But I did want to give y'all a little bit more info on Lil Nut and the case, what he was charged with, and what his connection is to Rayful Edmond, if you don't know. I will also tell you if he has been released. And that is where I will leave. I believe that's where I will leave the case surrounding Lil Nut and Rayful. There may be more videos on Rayful, but my street legend videos are very much so thought out. So if I have a sudden thought about something, I'm going to write it down. I'm going to analyze. I'm going to do all of that before I decide if I'm going to do it or not. I do have a playlist that is filled with the videos that I did on Rayful. Y'all can check that out. It will be in the description. But let's get into who Lil Nut is and what his connection is. Columbus Lil Nut Daniels, he actually played on Rayful Edmonds' Men at Work basketball team, and it was like a summer youth program. Men at Work was a street tournament squad that he alternately played, coached, and recruited the best of the best from the DMV area, and he being Rayful. I did want to add that none of the other players were present for the murder of Brandon Terrell. I wanted to note that because my thoughts on that was, it's a shame that maybe Lil Nut's role on the basketball team wasn't really for his talent, and it was more so for a look. That's what I get. I get very much so that Lil Nut was a part of Rayful's gang. He had to be around him more than likely for protection for Rayful, and he was used on this basketball team for that look of, okay, this is to fill a spot, he's good, but he's really for something else, which is unfortunate, because a summer youth program is really supposed to be for the youth to focus on something positive and not to bring them into what you want to do, into what you're doing negatively. Now, I could say that, and also say that during that time, and still to this day, the youth look at selling drugs and being out in the streets as more positive, because more money comes with it. More opportunities are in the street, but they not positive. All money is not good money, and especially if that money comes with somebody else shit and blood, well, it just never ends good. So this summer youth program was mainly in 1988, is where a lot of the problems started to unfold and blood started to be shed. Now, who is Brandon Terrell? Brandon Terrell can be linked to his brother, Big Head Gary, which Big Head Gary was responsible for the murder of Richard Porter. Richard Porter was a drug dealer from New York City, and he is tied into the story of Paid in Full. But so right now I'm going to tell y'all about the case, and I'm going to focus on Lil Nut, because in the video I did about Rayful, I don't know if I made it clear or not, but both men, they were tried separately in court. So during this trial, where 4 witnesses testified against Lil Nut, one being a police officer and another being Brandon Terrell's girlfriend at the time, Lil Nut and Rayful Edmond were not in the same courtroom. They were not tried together. So I guess that's more of a fair shot, but I'll tell y'all if it was or not. So this court proceeding took place June 21st, 1990, and all 4 witnesses testified that they witnessed Columbus Daniels stand over Brandon Terrell and shoot him at least 4 times as he laid on the pavement. This shooting death happened outside of the Chapter 3 nightclub, 1988. The 4 told the court in vivid detail of what they witnessed leading up to the killing. It was a back and forth dispute between Brandon Terrell and Rayful Edmond. Brandon Terrell cursed Rayful Edmond. He also challenged Edmond's authority to control certain areas where Brandon Terrell was working. So Brandon Terrell was obviously mad, visibly mad. In response, Edmond threatened to retaliate against Brandon Terrell if he was caught selling things on his turf. And his turf was now Brandon Terrell's turf. So basically Rayful Edmond was taking over where Brandon Terrell was selling his product, and that wasn't cool for him, you know. In my eyes, it's like, nigga, you gonna have to work for me or not, you know what I mean? And if you want to be an independent person, you wouldn't want to do that. You would go against that. So there was a dispute between both men. And finally, how Brandon Terrell tried to run away from Daniels as he raised the firearm and began to shoot, where he was shot in the back in the middle of 1st Street. Now, the police officer's account only was there after the shooting. I guess he was somewhere in the area and heard the shots, but he did not witness anything that led up to it, and he did not witness the shooting. A key witness in this case was Brandon Terrell's girlfriend at the time, M. Johnson. We are going to just say M. Johnson, because if y'all want to name names, you know, as far as who is involved in a case, that is public knowledge. Y'all can do the research just like I did. She was 18 at the time of the court proceedings, and basically she started off her testimony by telling the court how her and Brandon Terrell met and how their relationship developed into a girlfriend-boyfriend type of situation. She also recounted in an amazing memory of how she met every single member of Rayful Edmonds' gang. Now, what is unclear to me is how, my thing is, was Brandon Terrell working for Rayful Edmond, or was cool with Rayful Edmond and Lil Nut at one point, and then it just turned sour as Rayful Edmond grew more powerful? My thing is, how are the two linked if this is the situation now? You know, were they cool at one time? But that is unclear. But I'm guessing it is linked, because it would only make sense to mention, you know, her relationship with Brandon Terrell, the victim, and her relationship with Rayful Edmonds' gang if they didn't cohabitate. She said that she knew of Brandon Terrell's frustration with, you know, the territory that Rayful Edmond and his crew was trying to take over. She also saw the argument unfold, and she witnessed her boyfriend, Brandon Terrell, you know, walking out of the nightclub. Now, while he was walking out of the nightclub, she also stated that she saw Columbus Daniels gritting on her boyfriend. And what is gritting? Gritting is mugging. You got a nasty face, you know. If you don't like somebody or you got a problem with somebody and they walk by you, you just look at them, you know, with a nasty, you know, you catch the vibe. You know, if that person look at you, they'll catch the vibe, basically, that you don't like them. So gritting is looking at a person in a nasty way, you know, with your eyes, with your, you know, you could really do it up, you know. But, and that's how people do in DC. Like, that's all you really need to know. As Brandon Terrell walked away from her, she saw Edmond nod his head towards Columbus Daniels, basically giving him a signal. No less than 2 seconds after that, shots started to ring out. As the shots rang out, she said that she jumped behind a tree where she felt safe. She heard her boyfriend cry out, "Why are you doing this to me? I thought you were my friend." She then stated that she peeked out and heard Daniels utter, which means say, profanity curse words, then saw him fire 4 more shots into the victim as he laid on the pavement. Now, for this crime, Columbus Daniels was initially charged with first-degree murder while armed. So it was crazy how this unfolded to begin with, because certain people that was at the nightclub, certain people, basically word on the street was automatically that Rayful's crew was involved in this killing. So police wanted to talk to Rayful, and he decided to take up their offer to talk. The police said that that's who they wanted. They wanted to know who in his crew was involved, but they already gave him a name. They gave him Lil Nut. They already knew. That was word on the street. And that's how DC is, you know. Rayful said that he would see what he can do. And no less than 24 to 48 hours after that, a 17-year-old kid, a 17-year-old teenager walked into the detective's office with his mother. And he basically was trying to take responsibility for the murder of Brandon Terrell. Now, this was a chess move by Rayful in giving up somebody who had nothing to do with it, because he was a juvenile and maybe only a year shy of being considered a adult. So even you being 17, you know, by the time the court proceedings are over, you could be charged as an adult. You know what I mean? Like, even though you was a juvenile at the time that you committed this, it still don't make sense to me. It's still a trap that a lot of young men don't know, that it's like a huge trap, you know. But that's what Rayful wanted to do for Lil Nut. You know, he wanted to make sure that another person can take responsibility for this and take heat off of Rayful Edmonds' crew. But it didn't work. Police saw right through all of it. They saw right through the 17-year-old story. In turn, that 17-year-old, I believe when he was 19, he was killed in a vehicle chase. Basically, he was in his car driving, and he was being chased by another car that did get to shoot multiple times into his car and into his person. And he did crash and die on scene. So that was unfortunate as well, because he had nothing to do with it, and Rayful intertwined him into something that police already knew a lot about. You know, they just wanted Lil Nut. You know, if you wouldn't have tried to make this chess piece, which you gotta find somebody that's really solid for stuff like that. And I really just don't believe in intertwining somebody that's about to be 18, who you don't even like. A person that is willing to go down for a charge has to be trained in a certain way. You know, if they don't really know every detail of what happened, especially in an educated way, the police is going to see right through it. I'm sorry. You might think that the police is dumb, but they not dumb. You know, especially if they know certain things already, and they know, like, they know shit that you might forget as the killer or the person that aided and abetted in this shit, you know. They might know more. You might have forgot how many times you pulled that trigger. You might have forgot where you shot the victim. You might have forgot all of the logistics, you know. But the police know certain shit like that. And certain killers don't forget that. So if they ask you, how many times did you shoot, and you not accurate at all, they gonna see right through it. If you say, oh, I shot in the head, this, that, and the fourth, and Brandon Terrell was shot a lot of times in his back, and you leave that out, they're going to see right through it. You know, the police is not dumb, and they're not just going to be like, okay, you did it. Nah. it gotta make sense in every way. And if you are the killer, well, it's just gonna have to make sense for real, like 100%. Why would it not? You know, unless you are on some really intoxicating drugs and shit like that where you really wouldn't remember. But even people that are on drugs like that remember. So, but on June 21st, 1990, he was convicted of second-degree murder. A federal jury deliberated for more than 18 hours, over 4 days, before finding Lil Nut guilty of second-degree murder of the shooting of Brandon Terrell. And this is where it's conflicting. It's like it says rival drug dealer Brandon Terrell. So my thing is, was this rivalry just starting, or was it a long time thing? Because I know that Rayful Edmond had a problem with Trinidad.